Hi, my name is Travis. I'm going to talk to you today about Rails debugging and the Pry debugger. Let's get started. The prerequisites for this are that you already have some experience with Rails, but are not yet an expert. You're looking to improve your ability to debug and work out problems in your app on your own. The objectives that we're going to attempt to achieve today are to be able to use Pry as a REPL, that's a read, execute, print loop. You've probably already seen this as IRB. To be able to enter objects and make changes within those objects using Pry, and to be able to use Pry as a debugger, especially in your Rails app. We'll also talk a little bit about Pry Rails and, given enough time, better errors. Let's get started. So Pry is a REPL, and a REPL is a read, execute, and print loop. That means that we can type code into it and see the results printed immediately in front of us. So let's go ahead and start up Pry here, and you'll see this happen. Now you should have already seen something quite similar to this with the Rails console and possibly with IRB as well. So you should be somewhat familiar with this concept. We can do lots of normal things using all the normal Ruby methods, public methods on a string. We can create our own methods. And then we can call them. Oh, well, look at that. It looks like I've already made a mistake. Well, good thing we're in Pry. One of the benefits about Pry is that we can go back and we can look at things and edit them and make changes to methods that are built in even. So I'll use the show method command here, which I really don't need to do, but I'm going to do for demonstration purposes. And you can see the method right here. So we've got that. So how can I go about fixing this problem? I'm going to type in the edit say hello command. And you'll see that my editor is opened up with the say hello method. So I'm just going to go ahead and edit this. That looks better. 2 L's. Save that. Your editor may be different, and we'll talk about how to configure which editor Pry will use in just a moment here. Now if I run the say hello method, aha, 2 L's. Got it. So this will be our first quiz, although it's not really a quiz. I just want you to be able to get started using Pry right away. So the first thing to do is go out and run gem install Pry. By now you probably have seen the gem install command many times, so this shouldn't be that bad. Then, once that's done, we want to set a default editor for you. So open the .pryrc in your home directory. If you remember, this // is your home directory, and then .pryrc is kind of a hidden file within there. If it doesn't exist yet, you can create it. And we're just going to add one line in there, pry.config.editor, and then you'll want to set this equal to whatever your normal editor is. So I'm using Atom and Vim, so here I've set up Atom. If you're using Sublime and you've set up the subl command, use subl. Alright, let's get started with quiz 1 now. You should have Pry up and running, and you can enter the following method: def hello name, and then puts hello and end. It looks like there's an error with this though. It looks like we had intended to have hello and then the person's name, but we neglected to use this argument. So how can we fix this method? What can we do in Pry so that we can make changes to it? 1. cd hello. 2. edit hello. 3. ls. Or 4. show method hello. The answer is 2. edit hello. As we saw before, in here I have my say hello method, not hello like out there, which returns hello. If I want to edit it, edit say hello, and I'll open my editor. And I can make my changes here. Pry offers a lot more than just easy access as a REPL. You can also use it to enter into Ruby objects or classes that you've already created and look around inside of them, or even make changes. Let's take a look at the cd command. So you may be familiar with cd from your terminal, where you use it to change directories. Inside of Pry, we can use this a little bit differently to change into a class or object. So I can cd into the Ruby hash class, and now I'm inside of it. So what can I do in here? Well, you've probably seen the ls command too, right? And here, instead of listing all the files, I'm actually listing the methods and variables that exist within here. Pretty cool, right? I'm still inside the hash class here. I probably don't want to make any changes inside here because this is a Ruby built-in and it's just kind of dangerous to do so. So how can I get back out of here? We'll just cd ... just like we would inside of our terminal. And I'm back here at main, and my say hello will still work. Now, that was a Ruby built-in, so we don't really want to make changes to it. But let's demonstrate how we could make changes to maybe our own classes. So I have a couple of classes built right here, and I'm just going to require this file. So you may have seen require before in some of your code already. And I've required the file. So that means those classes that I have here, dude and cow, are both available inside of here. So let's try this. Yep, there's a dude, and there's a cow. So let's create a new cow. Okay, I've got a cow. What methods did cow have? Has a say hello. Great, except my cow is saying yo. Let's edit this. Alright, I can edit. This opens up so that I can edit directly inside the file. So we're just going to make this cow a little more cow-like. And we'll say moo. Great. So now that I'm back out here, it's directly changed, even this object that was already created. And if I create a new cow, still works. The file is actually saved right back into the file system, so it'll be changed that way permanently. Let's do a quick quiz. So, using the code listed here, which is another class cow, with a say hello, an eat method, and a sleep method, tell me, how can I list all the methods in the cow class? Is it 1, ls cow, 2, edit cow, 3, cd cow and then ls, or 4, pry.cow? Take a second. Let's take a look at the solution now. Both 1 and 3 are correct. So we can just do ls cow, or we can cd into cow and then ls. Another way to do this is to just create a new instance of cow and then cd into that and do ls. Alright, that's enough talk about how we can use pry as a REPL. Let's talk about how we can use it inside of Rails. So in order to use it in Rails, I usually add a couple of gems. So let's go ahead and add those now. So I'll open up my gem file, and I'm going to add them right here in the development and test group. You usually want to add all your debugging stuff just in development and test because you don't want it in production. So I'm going to do gem pry-rails and gem pry-bybug. And I'll save this, and then I'll bundle. Actually, bundle install. Good, they should be installed now. So now, if I do Rails C, pry should load up in my Rails console. Great, there it is. Let's find all our books. Ah, there they are. We have 2 of them in our database. Let's compare this a little bit to what we get with the regular Rails console. So here's a regular Rails console. I'm going to do the same thing. A little bit harder to read, huh? It's one of the many benefits of pry. Let's talk real quickly about another method we can use called find method. But first, I'm going to go into the books controller. Here we are inside the books controller. And there's a lot in here. Let's say I want to find some specific method. I'm going to do find method and the name of the method so I can find the show method. Ah, good. There's a books controller show method right here. Previously, we added 2 gems. We didn't completely talk about what they did. we had the pry Rails gem and the pry bybug gem. Now you're probably a little bit familiar with bybug already. It's the debugger that you use in Rails. So let's look at how we can use pry instead of that debugger. Alright, let's add binding.pry to our controller so that we can demonstrate its usage. Alright, I'm just going to add it here in the show method at the beginning, and save that, and then start my Rails server, and then we'll hit this page. This is our Bookazon app, and I'm just going to click on this first book. Now things seem to have paused because in the Rails server we've stopped here at the binding.pry. So that means we can do things in here using the powers of pry. So let's see where we're at. That's a lot of methods. By the way, I'm using Command K to clear the screen when there's too much on it. Let's quickly talk about another useful command, since we're a little bit lost right now. It's where am I? Ah, good. This is the code we're stopped on right here, line 8. Let's see what the value of @book is. Aha. Alright, so we'll go ahead and continue here by typing continue. By now, our page should have rendered, and here it is, to kill. So now you've seen that we can use those two gems to debug inside of Rails, and also to replace the Rails console with something a little easier to view and work in. Let's take a quick quiz about what those gems were. So what are the two gems I'm using that give Rails console awesome pry powers and add debugger support when we use binding.pry in our code? Is it pry Rails and pry, bybug and pry Rails and pry bybug, or just pry? While all the gems contributed something here, pry Rails and pry bybug would have required all the rest, and they're doing everything we need. Let's talk a little bit more about working with debuggers. There are several common concepts that extend across multiple languages when it comes to debuggers. The first one is what's called a breakpoint. A breakpoint is where your code's going to stop when you've set it to do so. We have two ways to set breakpoints in pry. We can use the binding.pry that you saw earlier in the controller, or when we're within pry, we can do something like break 10, which will break on line 10. Or we can specify to break on a specific method, such as on the book's controller index method. We can also apply certain conditions to it if we're waiting for something to happen. Let's take a quick quiz. Assuming the code listed here, how could we use pry to set a breakpoint and start debugging on line 8? Could we use pry-8, add debug at line 8, within a debugger session, or within a pry session rather, in this controller run break 8, or add binding.pry at line 8? The correct answer is both 3 and 4. So if you had done 3 within a debugger session in the controller run break 8, that would assume that you had already put a binding.pry elsewhere and stopped at it, and then you would go in and run break 8. Let's review a little bit about how we can stop on a particular line. So right now, I've set binding.pry on line 7 here of our books controller. And as we saw in our Rails server, it pauses in the Rails server. And we're here. Right here on line 8, the line right after binding.pry. Now let's say I want to stop somewhere else. Let's say I want to stop down at line 10. Now I could go in and edit the code and put a binding.pry in there, or I could use that break command that we just mentioned, and we'll do break 10 here. So now it's telling me that we've set another breakpoint on line 10 here. If I do continue, you'll see it stops again at line 10 there. And if I do continue again, we've now finished this method, and the browser should be displaying what we expected. Yep, there it is. Let's talk about a few more debugging methods. So you've already seen continue a couple of times, and it basically just continues the program until it hits another breakpoint, such as when we did break or when we put a binding.pry in. The next two we should talk about are next and step. They're both sort of similar in that you continue debugging with the next portion of code, but the difference is whether you're going deeper and following the method chain down, or whether you're just staying where you are. So you can think of step as the one that goes deeper. It's stepping into the next method that's being called. Next, meanwhile, kind of keeps you at the same level. So here I am, hitting the show method on one of our books. And we should see that that stops in the Rails server because we have binding.pry there. Here we are. And now we're stopped right after binding.pry. So we have two choices here. We could use next, which should continue us. We'll execute line 8 and then continue us on line 9, debugging. Or we can use step, which will follow us down which will follow the method chain down into getBook, and we'll see the content of that method. Let's try next for now. There we are, line 9, line 10, line 12, and we'll just continue from here. So our page displayed. I'm going to go back, and we'll try this again. And here we are, stopped here again. This time, instead of using next just to go to line 9, we'll use step. As you can see, step took us down to the getBook method. Let's continue again. And here's our book again. So what I'm going to do is show you a little bug that's in this app right now. When I click on this, and we'll just continue here really quickly so we can take a look at this. You'll notice that I clicked on book 2, but I still got To Kill a Mockingbird. Which book was that? 4-Hour Workweek. I shouldn't be getting that book for both of these, right? So let's use our debugger to our advantage here. So back on the 4-Hour Workweek, you can see it's paused again. And here we are. Let's follow that chain into getBook and see where we're at. It looks like we're using book.first here rather than what you would normally expect to find the book by the param ID. Let's go ahead and edit that. And here we are. Let's fix that. And we'll just continue for now. We're already past the stage where we can fix this. So this time we still get it wrong, but on the next refresh, continuing again, there we are, 4-Hour Workweek. Excellent. We've used our debugger to fix one problem. Let's do a quick recap about next and step. So in step here, if we were to use step when we came to this r.sort.unique, we would first go with the array into its sort method, and we would see the code there, and then further into the unique method. If we did next, it would simply put us on this line after executing the r.sort.unique. Let's do a quick quiz. So, assuming the following code, and that we've already stopped at line 8 right after binding.pry, which command would I use if I didn't want to go deeper and just want to stop again after line 8 is complete? Would it be ls, continue, step, or next? The correct answer is 4, next. If you said step, you were close. Step, however, would have actually taken us to the first line in the getBook method, as we showed. Alright, well, thanks for watching. I hope you really learned a lot about debugging with pry, and hope to see you next time.